So what got you all the way to the podcasting? I mean, like, start from the beginning, from childhood, from birth. Like, what's your whole backstory?
Well, from high school on till I was 21, I was competing in martial arts tournaments. That was my background. I was a Taekwondo instructor. I taught at Boston University. I competed in all these different national tournaments. I traveled all around the country. Most of my formative years were spent traveling around the country fighting in martial arts tournaments. The way I describe fighting, I mean, a lot of people like to think of it as a barbaric thing. I call it high-level problem solving with dire physical consequences. And that's really the best way to describe it, because you're trying to do something to someone who's trying to do something to you. And genetics and knowledge and technique and discipline and drive and focus, these are all factors that are mixed up in this thing, and you're trying to figure out who's going to come out on top.
What do you think of sort of the movement that's continued apace to get rid of these gender differences that you've been seeing in society more broadly?
It's very strange because it's science denialism. And the left is all about science until it comes to gender. And once it comes to gender, they don't want to hear about studies. They don't want to hear about genetic differences between males and females. They don't want to hear about preferences or any studies that show that people with higher testosterone tend to go towards certain activities. People with lower ones tend to go. They don't want to hear about that.
What's your take on President Donald Trump, since we now have a year and a half of Donald Trump in office?
Everyone sucks at that job. Hillary would have sucked at that job too. It would have been a disaster. I think her health would have failed. I don't think she would have made any difference in the world. I don't think he's going to make any difference in the world for the positive. I think what we need is a council of wise people. And I think that this idea of one alpha chimp that runs the whole thing based on a popularity contest is crazy. I think it's a terrible idea.
Okay, so what changes would you make to the system? Because you talk about the system being a problem. So you talked about online voting. Do you mean online voting direct on issues, or you mean online voting for representatives?
All the above.
Okay, so you like the referendum system in California?
I think if you have opinions on things, I mean, first of all, this is really unpopular. I think you should have to show that you have an understanding of what you're voting on. You should probably have to take a test.
I'm fine with this. If you want to get rid of the ID requirements and retain the actual you need to know what you're talking about requirement, I think I could live with that.
I think you should take a test. And if you understand what the consequences of your decision are, you understand what is being voted on, then you can vote on it. A lot of people would say that's bad. Because then, what about, are you saying that people have to have a certain intelligence level in order to vote? Is this like, are you at the door of eugenics? Like, where are you going with this? Well, I think it's not a bad idea to say that if you're going to vote on really important issues, like whatever those issues are, whether it's funding the military or abortion or whatever it is, you should have an understanding of the subject. I don't think that's unreasonable.
Here's my theory. My theory is that everybody has broken down into tribalism because it used to be that we were a larger tribe, meaning that the way that you defeat local tribalism is by creating a larger tribe that everybody feels a kinship to and a membership to.
I think that's a great point. I think it's a great point too about the benefit of religion is that you do have these ideas and values that are shared amongst this community and group. And when you are an atheist or an agnostic, I mean, you don't really have that group other than like what you're getting from a lot of atheists. You get this really hardcore progressive ideology that is in many ways like a religion.
I love the internet. I've made my living on the internet. You make your living on the internet. But one of the dangers of the internet is that it's all personal to you. You don't actually have to go out and be with other human beings. You get to hide behind the screen and tweet nasty things at each other.
Yeah, you also can find this group of like-minded people and you share an echo chamber. That's another real issue for confirmation bias.